Hey, we're live. Oh, I think that Darin froze. He probably lost connection or something. So I guess he will be with us in a second or two, or three, or four, or five. And he's the one who has all the material. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We need to wait for Darin. But while Darin is coming, let me try to figure out what to talk about. Yes, we had an amazing Ask Me Anything session yesterday. Different channel, still same people. Me and Darin with Anton Babenko is a special invite. We spoke about infrastructure, a bunch of other things. And if you want to check it out, you should. You will, if you go to the DevOps Toolkit channel, you will see it over there. What else? Let's see what's going on with Darin. I'm going to ping him right away. Darin. Okay, here he comes. There he is.
It's Monday, right?
It's almost. You're only 3 days wrong.
Cool.
Oh, he froze again.
No, I'm still here.
You're still here. Oh, okay, there we are. Now
Yeah.
we see you.
I'm here.
Now we see you.
I heard the music stop. It cut over and then nothing.
Hey, technology, it's not easy.
No, but at least you were here to take care of it. Thank you for doing that.
I had no idea what to say.
How is-
I'm not prepared. I have no idea what's the content of this session.
That's fine. So let's see how this works out. Hi, by the way, my name is Darren. This is Victor, and we are the podcast hosts of DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, we do this thing that almost didn't happen for whatever reason. Probably my internet again. I need to get a new modem. I think that's what it is. But
What do you say about my glass?
I can't see. Oh, it's you.
Yeah,
How
people send me weird stuff.
I like it. Yeah, so I don't have my can today, but my wife, she just got back from a doctor appointment. And she's like, hey, do you want me to get you a tea? I went, yeah, give me a tea. So now I have a tea, a large tea. This is my first caffeine of the day, I think. So we'll see how this goes. Cool. It's been one of here. Let's a little crinkle there. Okay, good. All right. Enough of that. Let's talk about the show, just in case something goes completely wrong between now and then. And by the way, Marcin, good to see you. Jivaden, thanks for showing up again from yesterday. By the way, the stream yesterday was really good with Anton.
Oh yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It was good.
Go over to DevOps Toolkit and watch the stream if you didn't catch it live yesterday. But this show is very different than that show. Can you experience a fresh learner to a non-IT background?
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, especially
It's gonna
with
be
no
very
IT.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
I would. I think I would. So kind of, there's a lot to learn, right? If you don't have. Actually, I don't know what people mean when they say IT background. Does it mean operations background or IT as if anything relating to software development? I will assume it's later, right? And if it is, I would rather go towards operation or pure development to get a hold of one of the two, and maybe then jump into DevOps, something.
I agree. Pick one to begin with. Don't try to do the ugly thing that doesn't really exist in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. I finally got everything squared back away. I basically had to refresh everything and restart before I dropped back on. So, speaking of this, that question was, you are quite welcome. And also, I'm not sure exactly how bad our lag is today.
Looks good.
I think we're running about 30 seconds, so I don't know if I forgot to go to ultra low latency or not. But anyway, so if we're slow responding to you, that's why. Okay, so anyway, the cloud skill shortage is one thing. This came out of an interview, not really an interview, a conversation that we had with Rosemary Wong from Hashicorp and their State of Cloud survey, which if you haven't read it, it's an easy read. They did a really good thing. You don't even have to give them an email address. Just go through it, scroll through it, and have a few good laughs. But one of the recurring themes was skill shortages, not finding people. Is that any different than normal?
Yeah, and I don't know. I do feel that I'm hearing that more often now than before. But again, that's very small sample, right? Cannot judge the whole industry. And when I say now, I mean like last 5 years compared to last 20 years, something like that. But yeah, there is a shortage, and that's good, right? That means that people have more power for negotiating salaries and what's not. It's a good thing.
Yep. So if you haven't listened to it, I would say go listen to it again. And also remember that she's the author, Rosemary, is the author of, they just changed the name, Patterns and Practices for Infrastructure as Code. And if you buy it directly at Manning, use Pod Paradox 20, you get 40% off. In fact, not just off that title, but if you buy anything at Manning and use that code, you get 40% off. All the time, whatever. Thanks to Manning for giving us that code to give you. We don't get any money out of it. That's just a code for you. Okay. I saw this and I had to laugh. Look, I bought a box of DevOps.
Yeah.
YAML. Yeah, okay, he bought DevOps. I thought this was funny. So, and Mr. Jivadan did bring up, Hashicorp is going IPO.
Exactly.
Not only is it going to be big, I believe it's going to be huge. And this now explains, other than the reasons that Mitchell actually gave, why he is no longer CEO, I think.
Yeah, somebody had to do that last mile.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy, but usually that needs to be a person who already did those things.
Yes. And so congratulations to everybody at HashiCorp. If you haven't read the S1 yet, which the link to the S1 is... So number one, all the links for today's show are going to be down in the description afterwards. But inside of this article from SiliconANGLE, there is a link to their S1. It's very long, like a typical S1 is. But they go through how they're doing. So 212 million through January 1st of this year. So they almost doubled revenues from 121 to 211. Oh, okay, doubled. All right, 75%. But the losses rose from 53 million to 83 million. So they are running...
Still highly profitable.
Well, no, they're not profitable. They're losses. Their losses went from 53 million to 85
okay,
million.
I thought that costs. Okay. I thought it's kind of 211 minus 89.
No.
Okay.
So they went from 123 and 211 in, I'm assuming, probably ARR for most of their... I don't know how they write their stuff, but so whatever their annual revenue is, we'll just forget if it's recurring or not. But they actually went from a net of minus 53 to a net of minus 83. You keep playing this card. I don't know. I mean, with VMware just being spun off from Dell this week, was it this week or last week?
Yeah,
it was very recent.
Very, very recent. Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me, but it won't happen if they actually go ahead and IPO.
I mean,
I've never seen a buyout that quick. So,
if you think about it, if anybody could buy Hashi, that can only be VMware or maybe IBM. There is no other buyer that could buy them, either because they're too expensive or because they're not a good fit, right? What would Google do with Hashi? or by AWS or Microsoft,
None of,
right?
yeah, none of them make sense. To me, if I had to guess, the most logical play to me is probably IBM. Only because of Ansible, not because of IBM, but because of Red Hat and Ansible.
Yeah.
Having all of that under one roof would make a lot of sense.
But I think that IBM is struggling a bit, and I'm not sure whether after buying Red Hat they want to make such a big purchase again soon.
Yeah, but all the people that were leading Red Hat are now in charge of IBM.
Yeah.
I could, if I had to go between VMware or IBM, and I'm really thinking Red Hat, the IBM Red Hat deal would make more sense to me.
Maybe.
It would fill out the rest of that, whereas VMware doesn't really have anything. Now, that would be the plus for VMware, is it gets them into the game.
Yeah, but it would also create a confusion and probably negatively affect Ansible if they would be bought by IBM.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's too
We'll
early.
see. Probably
It's too
nobody.
early. Yeah. So congratulations to Rosemary and everybody at Hashicorp. Yeah, we're going to put Rosemary on top now. Mitchell, you were on top, and I don't know who the CEO is, but Rosemary's our person at Hashi. So, yeah, I will go ahead and say this. There's VMware Tanzu. This is the problem. You go from what happens to Nomad, what happens to all the other things, but I don't know.
I mean, if somebody is going to buy Hashi, that's going to be either, if it's going to be because of the revenue, that's going to be because of Vault, not Terraform and stuff like that. Or somebody is going to buy them because of the user base, and then we would be talking about the rest of the products.
Right. Okay, let's move on from this. So I saw that Kelsey got bored at lunchtime this week and decided to test out Azure's new container apps. Now, remember, who does Kelsey work for?
Google, he does that all the time. He's very versatile guy.
Yes. We're not going to go all the way through this. This is a very long thread. But basically, he was just live tweeting, going through this one. But the second one down, I'm 4 clicks in and still can't get to the actual product. That's as far as I'm going to go. Except for this one. This is actually pretty funny too. I must have deleted my old Azure account because this feels like a loan application. Okay. Just to see what his thoughts are on this. You should go through and read it. I thought it was funny. But
The important thing I think about Kelsey is that I read the whole thread and many other things that he wrote before. He's not the type of person who is going to say something bad about Microsoft or something else because he works for Google. He doesn't do those things. If there is something negative in what he says, that's because it's really negative.
right. Okay. Gitpod. I've been talking a lot about Gitpod. You talked a lot about Gitpod last year. In other words, I'm the laggard. And they introduced this Gitpod for startups. Eligible companies get free services for up to 2 years. 2 years. I'm actually talking to somebody at Gitpod next week. I'm going to try to get some information on this. But who's eligible? If it was founded less than 3 years ago, has a maximum of 10 million in capital, and hasn't been on a paid plan yet. But I still think these guys are, they're still rocking it, I think.
They are. They're doing very well. They're probably feeling the pressure from GitHub, but doing very, very well.
Yes. And GitHub made a couple of announcements this week, not the least of which I don't have any coverage on this. Their CEO is stepping down, and the existing CPO, Chief Product Officer, is becoming CEO, I think. I believe that's who it was. But anyway, we're not going to get into GitHub this week, at least not that part of it. All right, so congratulations, Gitpod. If you're in a new startup, I'll tell you what, I love Gitpod. It's cool. It's amazing. Okay. So from one Googler to another, And in fact, I saw another one that I'll talk about in a minute. The secret sauce of Google's container platforms, image streaming is now available on GKE. That means if you've got a 6 gig image, you shouldn't, first off, but if you do, now instead of waiting for that full 6 gig image to come down, as soon as you can get enough, it's going to start going. It's like the Netflix of images, I think, right? Progressive.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that Containerd was the first to introduce that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And here's the full blog post on it. I will say, I saw another tweet from Amet this week that I thought was pretty funny. It's like, hey, any Googlers XYZ, I can't remember exactly what it was asking, and then he did a TLDR at the bottom. It's like, yes, this is the easiest way for other Googlers to talk to each other. But anyway, GKE image streaming, now available in GKE, or excuse me, did I say that wrong? Image streaming for that. And they go through, again, they're using Containerd, right? Because of what it is. And this, I believe, answers, do you remember we talked last week about Cloud Run being able to now mount NFS volumes?
Oh, yeah.
Wink, wink, nod, nod, hint, hint. I think it'll show up there soon, personally.
Oh, yeah.
No, soon meaning 6-8 months, whatever. Probably before, but they had to have that piece first before they could get to this. But now it's like, oh, GKE. Let's just start doing it here. With image streaming on GKE, we saw a 3x improvement in application startup time. That's scary, though, to me. That's
an
edge case.
Statistics are the thing of different interpretations, right?
Yeah.
Yes, if you calculate it on images that are 10 gigs big,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And the way I read this is that's more cold start type numbers to me versus whatever. But they talk about, in addition to parallelizing data delivery, it employs a multi-level caching system. Now, I come from, prior to my current company, I used to work at a company called Terracotta, which we had purchased the guy behind Cache. His name's Greg Luck. And our product was distributed caching. This was before Hadoop was really a big thing. And understanding where caching happens and in-memory versus on disk and the layers of disk, I've probably forgotten a lot about it. In fact, I know I have. But this is cool because in-memory, on disk, and then regionally replicated artifact registry caches. This is the cool thing to me, especially with Google Cloud Run. And this is the reason why I believe it hasn't answered or has gone live in Google Cloud Run yet is, remember with Google Cloud Run, you give it an app and it just runs wherever you want to have it.
And remember, Google Cloud Run is not running in Kubernetes.
Right. Huh? Wait. Oh, that's right. It's not. That's right.
It is using Knative, but not Kubernetes. There's some dark magic done by Google over there.
But this is cool. Now the question is, with Knative going 1.0 this week.
Yay!
Not that I don't think it made that big of a difference, honestly, because I think it was more than okay, it's done and bumped. I don't think there was anything major in 1. Did you see anything major?
No, I don't think that there is anything major. It just it was a kind of, they probably just felt confident. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't think that we're going to be changing the API anytime soon, so let's bump it to 1.
Yep. So Knative, GA 1.0, why move it all at once? User facing and 1 contributor facing. Well, okay, 1 for user facing. The big user facing reason is a single number to hang on to. Contributor is manage a single version number. Okay. So Knative. I was going to talk about something else, but I got to wait on it. So congratulations to the Knative project, which one point they did call out here. Over time, Tekton was spawned from Knative build.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. It was part of Knative before.
Right. Okay. Let's move over here. This was a Google Cloud Run entry too. Now I'm trying to figure out what this means other than just what it says. You can now allocate up to 16 gig of memory to your Cloud Run services. Are we running monoliths now in Cloud Run?
I mean, why not?
Why not, right? And this is what you were talking about before. Cloud Run is not Kubernetes.
Yeah, and it's not only about that. It's simply it's a simple way to run applications packaged into as container images. That's what Cloud Run is first and foremost, and then it happens to be able to scale to 0. But anything that can be packaged in a container can be run as Cloud Run, as long as it's stateless. That's the only requirement. So if you have a big stateless monolith, why not? Now the thing is that I'm yet to see stateless monolith.
Well, I'm going to push back based on last week's news about Cloud Run now supports NFS. So you don't have to be stateless anymore.
Yeah, I haven't checked that one yet.
Well, it's public preview, so.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming the whole NFS thing, oh, they fixed it. Remember that said NSF last week?
Yeah.
I'm curious if the available in public preview applies to this or just this last one. I'm not sure. I think it's the whole thing. It would make sense.
The whole thing.
Which, with this being in public, all right, so I'm starting to piece the things together now. Since this is in public preview, we can't talk about, what was it that I was just thinking about? Oh, this with the image streaming. Until this goes GA, we probably won't see image streaming for for Cloud Run.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because they're two different things, right? One is basically image streaming is, among other things, being able to mount, to basically load images or parts of images from a network drive, right? And I think that this announcement that you're showing now is about being able to mount volumes into your applications, into your container running through Cloud Run.
No, I agree with that. I agree that that's the primary reason for it. But I think the subtext is based on their caching model. Exactly.
Exactly, yes.
Once that's there, then I believe they'll be able to do image streaming for Cloud Run. I don't know. I'm prognosticating, and I'm not very good at that to begin with. But still, 16 gig of RAM.
When you think about it, that's not that huge. If you're talking about,
I know.
The real question is whether kind of like Cloud Run is used at large scale. If it is, if you get to really huge systems, 16 gigs is not that much. You can easily spend 16 gigs, for example, on something about machine learning, something easily. No sweat.
No, that's true. Yeah, and I wasn't really thinking about ML for this.
Or even a normal application, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking about some large scale that you can easily have 16 gigs application that runs in 10 replicas easily.
Yeah. Or a normal
really
application that just leaks memory.
Exactly. Exactly.
I've done that before. Okay, so I'm sure we'll see more about that soon. I put this in just because I thought it was interesting for the scale that this changed. So Secrets Manager used to support only 40,000 secrets in the past per account, per region. And now it's more than 10x, up to 500,000.
Who has 500,000 secrets in a single account? Is there somebody like that?
My guess is yes. I'm scared to how I would even manage, unless. Remember that episode we did with Brian from Doppler about the Universal Secrets Manager? Yeah. I mean, at least through that I could manage it, but I can't imagine managing the 40,000 secrets through the standard AWS UI or CLI. just that number alone boggles me. And now I would do 10x that, 12x technically.
And remember, it says per account. When
Per
we're
region.
talking about per
Per
region,
account.
exactly.
Per account
So
per region.
basically, if you're talking about huge, massive companies, I mean, they use multiple accounts to begin with.
Yeah.
And then multiple regions to begin with. So what are we talking about? The need to have millions of secrets? Okay, I mean, fair, kind of like, great.
Yeah.
The more the better. I still cannot imagine that size.
Yeah. It was just the sheer, like if they had gone from 40,000 to 100,000, I wouldn't have put this in today. Right. That's a reasonable bump. But 12x, holy cow. I just, just even the thought process to get there is amazing. Talk about a full-time job. That would be a full-time job. This is sort of like the person that onboards and offboards people from a company into Active Directory or whatever their credentialing system is. Okay. Surprisingly. All right, so APIClarity. I saw this week. I don't even remember where I found it. But it's an open source cloud native visibility tool for APIs utilizing a service mesh framework to capture and analyze API traffic and identify potential risks. So basically what this is doing is sniffing all of your API traffic and then tells you what's going on. Primarily looking for zombie and shadow APIs. This is the one I'm interested in, shadow APIs. And then I started thinking about what you work on in your day job.
Me?
Yeah. Think about the number of API calls that happen within your project.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you think about it, API, if I would have to choose one area where I would focus security, that would be API, rather than scanning stuff and the things that typically are done.
Yeah, and this is actually, if you'll notice this, created by this little company called Cisco. Have you ever heard of them?
That sounds very familiar.
Okay.
Is that kind of some black devices on big tables in meeting rooms, right?
Could be. Could be. Yeah. I will go ahead and put this up. Yes, created by Cisco. I actually don't have a problem with Cisco at all. They're fine.
The problem I have with Cisco is that nobody knows what they do. Nobody knows what they do. They're kind of like all over the place. They have also products. I mean, I read about them maybe a few weeks ago. Kind of like anything you can imagine could be done by Cisco. So kind of that's my problem. I do not know what they do.
Well, they have enough people to figure that out. Going back to, I bet they have more than 500,000 secrets per account per region. Wouldn't you think? That's the AWS thing. Never mind.
Maybe.
That reminds me, I need to send something out here real quick. Give me a minute. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Now you address me in plural, huh?
Well, sure. Why not? I mean, it's just sort of what we do, right? I mean, we talk amongst ourselves and...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I meant to send that out to another group of people, and I forgot to, so I did it now so I wouldn't forget again. I'm curious to see how this works, and I'm not going to play the video. You can watch the video on your, because it's a 3-minute video. It seems very interesting to me. And the other thing they're pushing here, if you weren't catching it, is evaluate open API specs. This is interesting to me. Very, very interesting to me. So if you can actually create open API specs for whatever it is that you're writing, which, by the way, if you're writing an API, you should be using Open API. Don't get me started. Then it just looks interesting. So I haven't even looked at. Let me see what the specs are on it. That's the one thing I haven't looked. The site is really cool, though. It's very responsive. Does cool little things. It's not a typical... This is the reason why it's good having somebody like Who do we call it? Cisco doing this.
Cisco, yeah.
I drew a blank. kubectl apply.
Yeah.
You have to have Istio installed, though. It has a dependency on Istio. Is that a bad dependency? Bad.
I think it is. I mean, maybe a kind of like if they specify this as currently supports only Istio, but actually we are aiming for service mesh, then I would say great.
Yeah. So
Go
Istio.
first implementation.
Yep. So Istio, check that it's running. You have to deploy the Envoy WASM filter. And then...
Come on. Am I going to do Git submodules now to run that stuff?
I believe that was above, yes. I did see something earlier.
Yeah. You passed it.
Did I? There it is.
So.
Oh, yeah, it's submodules right here.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Anyway. I still think it looks interesting.
Yeah.
Whether they win, quote unquote, win this in the end, don't know. Okay. APIClarity. All right. I got a couple of tools this week. You're going to sort of laugh at most of them.
I am? Oh,
Yes.
Bring it on then.
So kube-lineage. I thought this one was cool. It's a CLI for visualizing Kubernetes object relationships. There's the picture.
It's nice.
Now, I said
It's
this
really
one
nice.
you probably like this one. You have to use crew to install it. I'm assuming that's
fine.
okay. That's fine.
It's perfectly fine.
Yep. So this gives you the visualization in the tiers. Like for me, when I was first starting to learn Kubernetes, just being able to see this structure would have made so much more sense.
Yep. No, this is really cool. I like it. It reminds me very much of Argo CD Web UI, right? It shows you like that kind of, oh, you so created this and that created that and that manages this and stuff like that. It's very nice.
Yeah. So kube-lineage. So that's that one. He goes through the motivation behind it and whatever. And there's a kubectl tree, but it looks like it's not as whatever. So it appears to be a little more.
kubectl tree shows you only the direct relationship parent-children, like in that example
right.
here, right?
Right.
And that's like similar to what Argo CD does and others.
Yeah.
I think that from what I've seen up, those are not direct relationships, because if you
Right.
take a look at the fourth line, service account metric server, and then pod. So service account definitely did not create that pod. That's not a child
Right.
of service account. That pod is using that service account.
Right. And it's almost like it's referencing here because then the pod is referenced under secret here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a secret created a pod.
Right.
But that secret is used in that pod.
Right.
It's nice. Really nice.
So kube-lineage. All right. So here's
I
where
didn't laugh, you see?
well,
You
this
said
is
I'm
where
gonna laugh.
this is where we start going downhill.
Okay.
All right. So kubectl-slice. Split. Are you ready?
Okay. Okay. Go.
Okay. Split Kubernetes YAMLs into files. So by default, it's going to split the Kubernetes YAML into multiple subfiles following kind, metadata name, whatever. So if you had a namespace production YAML file that had all these things bundled together, it's going to break it out into pod nginx ingress and namespace production. Right? It's going to split these based on this.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, what did they do after the 2 hours that it requires to build this?
Like I said, you can laugh.
Evil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? It's nothing against it. It's just, what was this I don't understand the problem that this was trying to solve.
I mean, I somehow imagined that if I put a couple of resources in the same file, and I often do, that I did it for a reason, or not because I did not know that I can define resources in separate files. I start with that assumption. And if that assumption is correct, then why would I want to split it if I did not want to split it in the first place?
Exactly. Okay.
It would be like you can in Java or other programming languages you can write multiple classes in the same file. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like, hey, let's split that into separate files. But then, would you write it in the same file in the first place if you want to split it? No.
Yeah. Now, where I do see that this could be useful is in the case of a legacy YAML file that wasn't written in the correct way.
Yeah.
Right? It's a maintenance tool to me more than a... Okay, here's the for example. Here's the for example, not for this, but similar. So one of the tools that we use is called TubeBuddy. Like YouTube,
yep.
TubeBuddy, to manage YouTube accounts. And I've got one TubeBuddy account that is a free account, so I can't do a whole lot in it. Well, one of the things I was trying to do yesterday was replace a bunch of text. In the paid version, you can do a mass replace across your whole channel. Guess what I had to do yesterday? I had to go one by one by one. I would have given anything to have been able to do a mass replace. So in this case, this tool is going to be, I need to be able to do a mass slice just to make it more manageable. That's
fair enough.
It's to me, it's sort of a one-trick pony. It's not something I would use every day.
What I would like to see is if actually this tool was doing something closer to what you were explaining with your buddy. If it had some kind of mass find and replace type of stuff, hey, switch from Ingress Beta 1 to Ingress V1 type of change. Because that's something that I've been facing a lot, right? Interfaces change, and then I need to change my manifest. And yeah, if there is a tool, if something like this could help me, that's great.
Yeah, it's called SED.
Exactly, kind of like, but hey, instead of writing, I mean,
I know.
This is SED as well. Let's start with that. So kind of.
We'll see that same metaphor show up in just a minute. Shrimp. You ready for shrimp? Do you need some shrimp? Do you like shrimp?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't.
You don't like it,
I mean,
or you just don't?
I don't like it. Yeah.
Okay.
I never tried it. It was never. My food taste depends on whether I like it visually or no. And and I have a very simple rule. I can eat anything as long as it doesn't have less than 2 legs and no more than 4. No less than 2, no more than 4.
So you wouldn't eat spider?
No. More than 4.
Would you eat crickets?
More than 4. No. Yeah, I think that they have more
Snails?
than 4. Yeah. But less than 2. It's a tried and tested rule, eh?
Fish?
Keep going.
Fish?
Less than 2. Less than 2.
Anyway,
you would need to find a 3-legged animal or something like that.
Yeah, I was trying to think
to
of
break
one.
that rule.
Yeah. If you found a 3-legged animal, it's probably because it's been
I'm gonna eat it.
near Fukushima or something, and it's.
Yeah, I mean by design. It doesn't count like take a spider, cut off the legs, half of the legs, and give it to me. That doesn't count.
Okay. Anyway, shrimp. So this is a program that will allow you to upload large files to S3. Now, numerous programs that do this, including the actual AWS CLI.
Correct.
Now, the question is, over a slow residential connection. Now, I've done this with the AWS CLI, so I was interested to try to figure out, okay, I don't understand. So it supports most of the arguments for AWS S3 copy, right? That makes sense. Use that every week. But then it got interesting. You can limit the bandwidth for the upload. You can't do that with the AWS CLI. You can't do that with transmit. I can't think of any tools, or even what's it? I can't remember the duck. What's the duck? CyberDuck. Yeah. Right? You can't do the throttling, setting bandwidth limit. That's pretty cool because think about it. If you start doing an upload and then you want to go watch Netflix, even though it's in theory upload download, I don't care what anybody says. Upload when you got big pipe uploading stuff, it still affects your download. Not so much that it's affecting your download, but because of the reporting that's going back up the upload, which may cause a buffer for your download.
Correct.
Right.
So basically, this tool helps me avoid pressing the download button on Netflix.
Right.
Because normally you would then download the movie, start uploading to S3 while you're watching that movie.
Right. And this
I just
one
found workaround.
Yeah. And this one, unlike the AWS CLI, which I've been bit by this before, it's never going to abort the multi-part upload in case of a failure. So you have a network problem, so it's going to pick up. So if you have an inconsistent or super slow, which typically would mean inconsistent, upload, Shrimp might be your thing if you're pushing up to S3 specifically. Now, it would be interesting to see if this is S3 specific or S3 compatibility, because there are so many other S3 compatible providers.
As long as there is entry point, as they maintain the entry point, dash entry point argument, which exists in basically all AWS commands, then it shouldn't matter.
Yeah. I just thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah, why not?
Yep. And it's always going to use multi-part upload, so don't use it for small files. That makes sense. And it uploads a single part at a time. So it goes through, multi-parts it, and then starts singling it up. So it takes it, slices it, and then just starts dropping them out, little by little.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. Okay.
Nice.
So that's Shrimp. And this is pretty recent. Yeah, well, the license was 9 months ago, but I haven't looked at the full history. Not a whole lot of history, though, 36 commits. Okay, are you ready for this one? This is the last one. Bless you. Again, thank you for muting. You can unmute now. You ready? I'm going to give you the last one. DL. It's a command line file downloader.
So it's curl.
It's curl. It's wget.
Yeah.
But what's the big pain when you're just going around and you're going to go and curl or wget a file? What's some of the problems you have?
That I have to specify dash show.
Uh-huh. What else? Now, you'd probably still have to give a -o here. Well, you don't have to give a -o. Okay, let me just sort of pull it back. Works for Mac, Linux, and Windows. So,
okay.
All right, so all good. Here's the options. So it shows you the options. You can turn on debug mode. You can do concurrency. Think AB to me, Apache Bench. You can rename it if you want to, new name. Mm-hmm. But here's where, like, again, I was getting ready to wave this one off. Like, I was just going to say, ignore it. Just ignore this. You have to set up a, basically, destination directory, your downloads directory. Right?
Okay.
So that's good. So you go through and config it and create a directory. So whatever. Either here or specify it. Here's where it gets sweet. Let's look at the configuration. So based on the file extension, it's going to go into a subdirectory within that download directory.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was cool. Because now I could change this mapping. So if I know that I'm always downloading Word docs, I might not just say document, I might say Microsoft Word versus PDFs versus whatever. So this downloader is actually smart based on the file extension.
Okay.
You laughed. You snickered.
No,
You didn't really laugh. You snickered.
I laughed at the comment of Gwoden.
Oh, this one that you need curl to install it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you need curl to install curl. Equivalent.
Yeah, but there's so many other tools like that, right? You need bash to install ZHS or ZSH. You got to have something to do something.
Fair enough.
It's not that big of a deal though. Yeah, but curl to install it. Yeah, it's like okay. It's like going from you need. Oh, that's going to fall apart. I was going to say, well, it's like you need terminal to install iTerm, which isn't true. But there is something in that area where that is true. Like you need this to install. Oh, here it is. I need Safari on a Mac to install Chrome.
Yeah, no. That's a
I
fair
don't.
game. Yes,
but there are things that are like that. So I just thought it was like okay, great, another curl. But when I saw that you could, based on file extension, have files go to a certain place.
Yeah.
Now, what would be even more interesting, and I haven't looked to see how crazy it is, if I download from a specific, and I don't think it's here, but if I'm downloading from a specific place, have it go to a specific place. Like if I'm downloading, how can I think of this? I don't know. It's because most things I use, they deal with it themselves. I'm thinking Maven and Gradle. It goes and puts things where it's supposed to go, whatever that is. This feels like, okay, this is the way I'm thinking about it. This is sort of like a Maven or Gradle or, what's the one for Go? I'm drawing a blank. That's Make. I'm thinking Go releaser, but that's not right. Anyway, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah,
a little different.
Terminal-based download manager. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? You're not impressed. Speaking of not being impressed.
I'm not impressed. I'm not disgusted either. So that in my case, that's a compliment.
Yeah. So speaking of not impressed, we'll talk about my experience with this. So you still have it left on one, meaning Docker Desktop is still on one machine, right?
On M1 machine, on the Apple Silicon, yes. It's still not working there, but it will soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, I told Victor.
Everywhere else.
So I went ahead and uninstalled. Like I started up Docker Desktop. I did a system prune, got everything cleaned up, uninstalled Docker Desktop, which fortunately on a Mac is just drag and drop. And I go through the installation process, following this video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on my version of the Mac, it doesn't run.
Tell people, what is the year that your Mac was manufactured?
Okay, it's a 2015 MacBook Pro. That's the one I was testing on. My primary machine's a 2011 MacBook Air. That one's not old. I think the twist is I'm still running Mojave. And if you look at Rancher Desktop, the minimum is Catalina.
Behind, right?
It's now 4 behind.
Yeah, why?
Because I'm just now ready to upgrade to Catalina. Because I have some apps that I use that didn't run on Catalina until like 3 months ago.
Why?
Because they're slow. So now I've got to go buy a new drive so I can re-image the machine.
No, but that's not a problem. Rancher Desktop has a bunch of problems, but not supporting I don't know, a couple of major versions of OS X is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm -1 from Catalina, and my phone is an iPhone 6, which, okay, for people that aren't in the States, you may or may not have heard of Chick-fil-A. It's a chicken sandwich shop.
Yeah.
This week, they upgraded their mobile app to require iOS 13. Well, my phone will only run iOS 12. It's like at some point, somebody's going to make me upgrade something.
So you're anti-upgrade person.
I'm going to let that sucker ride for as long as possible. So, yeah. So now my list of things to upgrade are starting to become longer and longer and longer.
And then every once in a while we speak about how, and you kind of like always in agreement with me, how people should not wait 5 or 10 years until they upgrade the operating system on their servers and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
you double crossing.
No, okay. So let me check this.
Double standards, sorry, double standards, man.
It is.
That's what it is.
So I'm looking up on another screen here. So the Mojave release date was released on September 24th, 2018. So it's only 3 years old. That's not very old, but it is old when you're releasing a new version of the OS every year.
Exactly. And when you know that vast majority of people are always upgrading.
Yeah.
Would you support it if that would be your project?
So I believe the answer is yes. I think 3 years is, but it's getting right on that edge. Right? It's like, would I go back one more beyond that? No. But I would have, with it being 3 years, that's where I'd be giving, I don't know.
The story is that that argument would make a lot of sense on Windows, because Windows is trying that. It's trying to keep users kind of like comfortable in different versions, stuff like that. Apple is known by basically pushing really hard for you to be on the latest version of their OS or whatever they're having, right? So it's and Apple itself does not really care that applications are working on 3-year-old operating system, right? So I wouldn't support it, mostly because I know how much additional work that can be, right? 3-year-old Windows, that wouldn't be much additional work. 3-year-old OS X, it is. It really is.
Yeah, I get it. And I'll go back here. That's how Apple pushes you to upgrade your hardware. Look, I'm running now a 10-year-old MacBook Air. 10 years old. It still runs fine. It's slow, but it's fine. But I can only run, I think, what am I on? High Sierra. That's as far as I could upgrade on it. And that's old. But yeah. Bloat the OS, make it unusable. Yeah, that's... I'll tell you what, though. I am holding out... I'm not holding out much longer, but I am holding out... I can't decide if I want to get an M1 or not. Mac Mini. M1 and Mac Mini.
I don't care whether it's Mac Mini or this or that. You cannot not take M1. You would be wasting money if you would get Apple with Intel chip. Now, if you want to go for non-Apple, yes, but you cannot not get M1.
It's just looking at the 16-inch, whatever the most big one is, the Max, I think, where I could get 64 gig of RAM with M1. I mean, the videos would be edited before I even open the application. Yeah, editing has been a challenge this week, so... Yeah, I'm getting close. I keep saying that every week, though, don't I? I keep saying that I'm getting close.
You do.
It's true. I am getting closer every week.
Closer to?
It's like shooting the arrow towards infinity.
You know, right? Kind of like, exactly, but you know, it doesn't matter how much you're moving towards infinity, you're never closer to infinity. It's still equally far away.
I know.
By definition.
It's the arrow having the distance. Yeah, and you'll never reach the target. I know. Someday. All right. So next week, we'll be back on Friday. No, you don't have a live stream next Thursday, but it's going to be 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from yesterday.
2 weeks from now, yeah.
Is there anything else going on? Is there a conference next week?
There is. I'm going to Marseille.
Are you physically going to Marseille?
I'm driving to Marseille, yes.
Did you have that on your calendar? Because I booked a 3-hour block with you on Thursday.
We'll figure it out.
Take a look at that. That one's pretty important.
On Tuesday, huh? On Tuesday.
Oh, crap.
There is no, you didn't book anything.
On the 11th? Yes, I did.
That's not Tuesday. That's Thursday.
Yeah. Are you back home then?
I don't know. No, that's sorry, that's not next week. That's the week after that. No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. Next week is something else. I don't know what it is. I have a Code Motion, Italy, but I'm not going there.
You're not going there. Okay. Yeah. So good, because I was, so just sort of lifting the curtain back a little bit, we were catching up on getting a few more episodes ready to go for the podcast. So I had scheduled to record 4, one really early morning for myself and normal morning for him, which is still really early morning for him. And I was like, oh no, we have to record. Don't have a choice because I'm out. And guess what? I did the math on it. Actually, I scheduled it, but I saw the math. So we're going to be recording 4. Just so you know, we're recording 4. That will take us up. Huh?
We should go to podcast shorts.
Shorts. Regardless. It's going to take us up to, not including the week of Christmas. Christmas is almost here, dude. It's 50 days. I think the math was 50 days today. Yesterday or today. 50 days till Christmas. Has your daughter started asking for things yet?
I don't know where I should have checked. She should have been back from school 2 hours ago. I need to check the whereabouts.
You need to go find that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, why don't we let everybody go so you can go find your daughter? She's probably, you know what? She's probably going to build some of those human towers in Barcelona. That's the only thing I can figure.
Don't worry, I'm spying on her on Google Maps.
Oh, okay.
When she expressed the desire to be autonomous, I said, yes, only if you share your location on Google Maps at all times. It's
2021,
compromise.
people. It's 2021.
Hey. Better than me calling her, where are you, right?
Yes. Even though it's effectively the same thing. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for being with us.
No, it's
What?
not the same thing because I'm
come
not
on.
embarrassing her in front of her friends. Calling, where are you? And then forcing her to say, I love you, Papa, on the phone while she's with her friends. That's embarrassing. That's not the same thing.
Being a parent is just embarrassing to begin with. So just get used to it.
No. Being a parent is not embarrassing at all. Being a child is embarrassing.
Yes. Yes. But let me tell you, it doesn't get any
I'm
better.
not embarrassed.
You're not. She is, yes. It doesn't get any better, though. I mean, my daughter's soon to be 29. It's still the same thing. It doesn't change. We change, they don't. Or not. Is it? Okay, anyway. We'll talk to everybody next week. Have a great weekend, and do all the things. Subscribe, do the things, whatever it is. All right, thanks. See y'all.
Cheers.
Bye.